Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. I very welcome my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Saturday's edition of the DC Multiverse Daily, where I was going to review Man of Steel for the umpteenth time because I thought I wasn't going to have much to talk about. But Ray Fisher had other plans, so he made a statement on Twitter via a tweet and on Instagram. I'm actually really pissed off about Ray's statement, and I'm going to read it to you. Now, we all thought that would be discussing it. I already heard people throwing my man Walter Hamada under the bus. I have a lot of time for Walter Hamada. I have a lot of time for Jeff Johns, and I have got a hell of a lot of time for Ray Fisher. But at the end of the day, I'm going to call a cabbage, and I'm going to speak my truth. Not your truth, not Ray Fisher's truth, my truth, and how I see all of this. I am sick to death of this bullshit. I am. We have DC Fandom. Do you know what they're doing at DC Fandom Part 2? They're getting a bunch of actors together to redo the original Adventures of Superman radio show. How cool is that? That's what you're getting from Jim Lee and Walter Hamada. And we have to deal with this negativity. This is actually not our fight, right? Zack's getting the Snyder Cut, right? Jim and Walter have created a situation where the Snyderverse is back, but we can see other verses created, which means every single DC fan can play in their own pit and choose to watch whatever they want, with potential crossovers, a potential crisis on Infinite Earths. But no, we have to deal with this fucking negativity, right? I was so depressed after I read Ray's statement, so we're going to read it. So you can better understand how deep this goes. After speaking out about Justice League, I received a phone call from the president of DC Films. We all know that's Walter Hamada. He doesn't name him by name, of course, wherein he attempted to throw Joss Whedon and John Berg under the bus in hopes that I would relent on Jeff Johns. I will not. Right, let's unpackage this and let me tell you all how I feel about this, because I'm pretty angry about this. I have always backed Ray Fisher. I have always backed Zack Snyder. You know I love Man of Steel. You know I love BVS. I do, and I love Zack and I love Ray, but I also love Jeff Johns and Walter Hamada. A lot of respect for every single of those men. So it's not about picking sides. It's about speaking my truth and telling you what I think is right and what I think is wrong. And what I think is wrong, Ray, is when you expose an alleged private conversation. That's not for you to expose, just so you can one-up the situation. It's about public support, right? And if we all thought that was going to be that, of course, it wasn't. Because I don't think Ray actually thought that Warner Media would respond. But you've actually said something very serious about a man that they value. A man that they're not going to get rid of. I'm not talking about Jeff Johns. I'm talking about Walter Hamada. Walter Hamada has come up with Jim Lee with this brilliant multiverse strategy. No Walter Hamada, no Snyder Cut. Let's be absolutely clear here, because those of you fellow Snyderverse fans and Ray Fisher fans who are trying to throw Walter Hamada under the bus. And one person said, John Aaron Garza was it, that Walter Hamada thinks that Jeff Johns is more integral to Jim Lee. Don't try and make this about Jim Lee versus Walter Hamada. Walter Hamada and Jim Lee are a cohesive team. They're mates. They get along. I know more than you. Don't try and throw a good man under the bus because you want to take a side. It is outrageous. Outrageous. And I know what you're all going to start doing. Unsubscribing like you always do. Putting a couple of shitty comments down at the bottom. Go for your life. I didn't start this to be YouTube famous. I started this so I could link up with fellow fans and talk about stuff like I'm doing now. I am going to put my point across. So trying to toxically put Walter Hamada against Jim Lee is disgusting. When has Walter put Jeff Johns above Jim Lee? Where's your evidence, right? Or you're putting up quotes that Todd Phillips put up about Walter, about how he was a bit skeptical of the Joker movie, right? And he said, look, we've done Shazam, we've done well out of Aquaman, why ruin a good thing? And actually Todd Phillips kind of agreed. And Todd Phillips even said he wasn't saying that he didn't want to make the movie. And guess who had to green light it for it to actually happen? Who had to green light Joker for it to happen? You've guessed it, Walter Hamada. So again, your narrative is wrong. So now we are, because we're a balanced channel here, we are going to hear what Walter Media, that's my Walter Hamada, right, in my head already. But we're going to hear Warner Media's side of the story. I think that's fair. I think we should be balanced, right? Let's do this. So this is Warner Media's full statement. In July, Ray Fisher's representatives asked DC Films president Walter Hamada to talk to Mr. Fisher about his concerns during the production of Justice League. The two had previously spoken when Mr. Hamada asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Bros.' upcoming Flash movie, together with other members of the Justice League. Wow! So already we know that other members of the Justice League will be in the Flash movie. That's actually confirmation. That's something positive to think about. We may discuss that. In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he had had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal of Cyborg, and complained that his suggested script revisions were not adopted. Mr. Hamada explained that creative differences are a normal part of production process and that a film's writer-director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. Agreed. Notably, Mr. Hamada also told Mr. Fisher that he would elevate his concerns to Warner Media so they could conduct an investigation. So Walter Hamada made sure that Warner Media would be ready with all the information to conduct an investigation. This is the way Warner Media do things. This is how AT&T do things, very professionally and upfront, by the way. So, could conduct an investigation. At no time, and this is important, did Mr. Hamada ever throw anyone under the bus, as Mr. Fisher has falsely claimed, or render any judgments about the Justice League production, in which Mr. Hamada had no involvement since filming occurred before Mr. Hamada was elevated to his current position. Very important. This is very important. These are all facts, Ray. These are all facts, mate. You went too far. It's as simple as that. I back you. I like you. But you crossed the line, my friend. While Mr. Fisher never alleged any actionable misconduct against him, Warner Media nevertheless initiated an investigation into the concerns he raised about his character portrayal. Still not satisfied. Wow, this is massive, isn't it? Mr. Fisher insisted that Warner Media hire an independent third-party investigator. This investigator has attempted multiple times to meet with Mr. Fisher to discuss his concerns, but to date, Mr. Fisher has declined to speak to the investigator. Wow. Warner Brothers remains committed to accountability and to the well-being of every cast and crew member on each of its productions. It is also remains committed to investigating any specific and credible allegation of misconduct, which thus far Mr. Fisher has failed to provide. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Look, this is massive because I don't think Ray expected this. Now, this statement from Warner Media, right, only came out, and let me tell you what my time frame here is in Cyprus. Basically, you Americans, most of you, I know you have different timelines over there and everything. Not timelines, but you know what I mean. So, basically, let me kind of tell you now, it's about just after 10 a.m. in the morning here in Cyprus. You're going to see this video 6 or 7 hours later because my internet's shit. And so I woke up, I was updating my Twitter and it come up. So I reacted to Ray's statement at the previous evening. It was evening here in Cyprus and it would have been evening in the UK as well, just to explain the timeline of events for us here in Europe. And so when I woke up this morning, this is when they posted this. So, look, it's absolutely massive. Now, what I want to do is actually reread this because I think this is very, very important. This is massive, because if what they're saying is true, and this is a company, this is a big company. Now, Warner Media and Walter Hamada and Jim Lee and Jason Keeler and everyone involved and Ann Sarnoff could have been underhanded and tried to threaten Ray and things like that. Now, Ray's tried to say that Jeff Johns threatened his career, right? That's something different. But Walter Hamada, Jim Lee, Ann Sarnoff, Jason Keeler, AT&T and Warner Media have, bent over backwards to try and investigate this. Because to us, Ray's been talking about accountability over entertainment. But it seems to me that all he's complained to them about is that they didn't want to change certain things in the script that he wanted changing. He wants them to investigate that. But there's nothing about Joss Whedon. They're not even talking about Joss Whedon. And he's refusing to talk to the investigator. So what's going on here? He sets all this up. I can only go with what Warner Media are saying. Now, I know a lot of you are going to call Warner Media liars, but I don't think that they are, right? Again, this, as I said yesterday, Ray's statement doesn't change my mind about Walter Hamada. I still think he's great, and I still think he's doing a great job, and I want him to remain in the job, right? And also, Warner Media's statement doesn't change my heart about Ray Fisher. I still love the dude. I think he's, look, Ray, I think it's a shame, my friend, because if this is true, that you're kind of irked over creative differences, and you're right that they didn't make the script changes that you wanted, right? If that's what this is about, and then they do what you want, and they get an independent investigator, and you're not even talking to him, but really it's all about creative differences, and not about aggression and misconduct on Joss Whedon's part, or John Berg's part, or Jeff Johns' part. What is this all about? Right? You told us that you will not relent on Jeff Johns and what happened on the set of the reshoots. That's fair enough. I can stand by you forever, even though it's tiring. And again, I'll remind you of what I said on the top of the show, that we're getting the Snyder Cut. We're getting J.J. Abrams' Superman. We're going to get different Earths, different versions of DC characters. It's wonderful. But this bullshit, this negativity, drives us all down. Now, Ray has to make a decision here. What's he going to do now? What's he going to say now? It's going to be very interesting if he has a response. Because if he stays quiet, that says something. Now, we all know that John Boyega's been saying a lot of stuff for a lot of time, ever since the marketing for The Rise of Skywalker. Now, again, I believe that John Boyega was very disappointed about how J.J. Abrams' vision was whipped away from him. And I think part of this is that Ray kind of wants to even up the score against Jeff Johns. And I understand that. Listen, Jeff Johns admitted himself he wasn't a very good leader of DC Entertainment or creative officer, right? He admits that. He said leadership isn't for him. He's a storyteller. He admitted it himself. Basically, what happened was Jeff Johns and Zack Snyder had creative differences. One wanted one thing and the other wanted another thing. Jeff Johns never wanted Zack Snyder. And he did everything he could to get rid of him so he could run it the way he wanted to run it. Right? That's what happened. It's clear that Jeff didn't conduct himself in a very moral way. But what do we want here? Blood? What do we actually want here? A wrong has been righted. Zack's getting his vision, right? We're getting all these different creatives like James Gunn and Matt Reeves doing different things. Matt Reeves is creating a new DC universe, if you like, with the Batman and the Gotham PD show. It's exciting. Everyone's getting what we want, and we're getting the Snyder Cut, and we're hopefully getting the Air Cut. So, to be honest with you, Ray, I don't understand what this does, because you're going against the old WB regime, because the new one has been nothing but magnanimous to you and the cast and to Zack and to us. Do they really deserve this? Does Walter Hamada really need an alleged phone call exposing by your good self? It was a pretty trashy thing to do, my friend. And then I have to ask, why are you really doing this? And I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. I said, once I saw Ray's statement, the other statements, most of them were okay, and I could back them. But I think a lot of people are going to be divided about this. And Ray, the thing is that Ray's always had is public opinion, but it's going to be split now. I spoke to a fan on Twitter. He commented on my reaction to Ray's statement, and he said, I'm losing respect for Ray now. And this is a DC fan, a great DC fan that actually loves everything, big Wonder Woman fan, Superman fan. He gets excited if a DC character passes wind, right? So he's not an aggressive guy, good guy, saying that to me. That tells you something. That tells you this isn't good, Ray. Now, I want us to get into the business of being excited again, right? And that's what I want. That's what interests me. We are in a great position now to be excited. And when I hear the leader, the president of DC Films, private conversation being exposed, I'm thinking, this isn't great. This is negative. This is depressing. There's no point to this. When the right has already been wronged already. Jeff Johns is not running anything anymore, right? He's running projects for DC, and they're happy with that. He's involved with the Wonder Woman franchise. Listen, Jeff Johns isn't going anywhere, right? First of all, there's no evidence, right? What did he actually do? Did he break any laws? Did he threaten to, did he threaten aggression? Did he give Ray any death threats? No. He has been punished for what he did. Enough. Zack and his fans, us, and I will remind you, I'm a Zack fan as well as a big DC fan all round, we're getting what we want. So again, I will ask, what's the point in this? But you know what really irks me about this? And I don't want to be disrespectful to Zack, Gal, Ben, Henry, or Ez, right? But I want to say this. None of these people are coming out saying anything. Now, obviously, Zack wasn't there on the reshoot, so he really can't say anything. But he does know that Jeff Johns was trying to get rid of him, that Jeff Johns did drive him off the project in the end. He could come out and be public. But Zack's not going to do that. You know why? Because Zack understands the industry. He's not a kid. He's not a little boy, right? Zack understands that he wants to make more of his Snyderverse DC movies. He wants the Snyder Cut to be released. So he's going to play the game because that's what you have to do. Not just in the entertainment industry, right? When I meet up with my girlfriend's parents, I can't stand the fuckers, right? I could stand up and say, you're a pothead, you're this, you're a cheat, you're that. And then I could turn to her parents and say, you were crap parents, right? But I sit there and I smile and I laugh and I joke because this is what you have to do in life. You can't just say, I hate you, I don't like you, you're this, you're that in life. Basically, what I'm saying to you is, Ray's quibbles are pointless because the wrongs have already been righted. Do you understand? And I do have a problem with Ray exposing a private conversation between him and a gentleman who has never really done anything wrong. He hasn't been aggressive. He hasn't threatened Ray. He wasn't here when the Justice League reshoots happened. He didn't make those decisions. It's ridiculous. So you're not poisoning Walter Hamada to me, and there's no power struggle. Let's get one thing absolutely clear here. There is no power struggle between Jim Lee and Walter Hamada. You can invent one if you want, but it's not true. It's all in your little minds, and I'm sorry. Go ahead. Unsubscribe. I don't give a shit. For every unsubscription, I'll get another follow. It's cool. I'll be okay. Everyone has a right to speak. That if you want to be men and ladies, right, and you want to talk about this properly, comment down below. Constructively. Yesterday, someone called me brain dead. Of course, I blocked that person. Another person who doesn't show who they are on their profile picture. And I don't mind people not showing who they are as long as they're nice and respectful people. But if you get on my train and you get abusive and you can't have an adult conversation and disagree, respectfully, then you're off my train. I'm grabbing you and I'm throwing you off my train, aka I'm blocking you. I don't need that kind of bullshit and negativity in my life. So let's reread this statement. This statement is really, really, it's a massive statement. It's a really constructive statement. And it really contradicts a lot of the stuff Ray's been saying. So let's take a look at this again. In July, Ray Fisher's representatives asked DC Films president Walter Hamada to talk to Mr. Fisher. Now, this was only in July, a couple of months ago. Let's not forget that. About his concerns about the production of Justice League. The two had previously spoken when Mr. Hamada asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Brothers' upcoming Flash movie, together with other members of the Justice League. We've got to discuss this, right? In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he'd had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal of Cyborg, and complained that his suggested script revisions were not adopted. Mr. Hamada explained that creative differences are a normal part of the production process, and that film's writer-director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. Notably, Mr. Hamada also told Mr. Fisher that he would elevate his concerns to Warner Media so they could conduct an investigation. At no time did Mr. Hamada ever throw anyone under the bus, as Mr. Fisher has falsely claimed, or render any judgments about the Justice League production, in which Mr. Hamada had no involvement since filming occurred before Mr. Hamada was elevated to his current position. While Mr. Fisher never alleged any actionable misconduct against him, Warner Media nonetheless initiated an investigation into the concerns he raised about his character's portrayal. Still not satisfied, Mr. Fisher insisted that Warner Media hire an independent third-party investigator. This investigator has attempted multiple times to meet with Mr. Fisher to discuss his concerns, but to date Mr. Fisher has declined to speak to the investigator. Warner Brothers remains committed to accountability and to the well-being of every cast and crew member on each of its productions. It also remains committed to investigating any specific and credible allegation of misconduct, which thus far Mr. Fisher has failed to provide. It's what confuses me. If you've started if you've insisted on a third-party investigation, but you're ignoring or refusing to answer the questions of the investigator, it doesn't make sense. It's a bit Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? I'm confused. This is the thing. I can't just sit here and say, oh, Warner Media, Walter Hamada, you're a bunch of this and that. I can't just blindly say that. And any of you who do are just biased. I'm sorry. We are movie fans. We are comic book fans. We love storytelling. We shouldn't be sucked into bullshit like this. But anyway, that's my opinion. And again, where is Henry Cavill? Where is Ben Affleck? Where is Gal Gadot? Where's Ezra Miller? Where's Zack Snyder? Why aren't they getting involved in this? Where are they? It says something, doesn't it? It says it all. My final words are just repeating what I've already said. Basically, the Snyder Cut is coming. Zack is back. Ben Affleck. This is the evidence you need. Ben Affleck's going to be in Justice League. Sorry, Ben Affleck is, of course, in the Snyder Cut of Justice League, but he's going to be in the Flashpoint movie, as are the other Justice League members, as we've just seen from this official statement. Now, whether Ray Fisher's Cyborg is going to be in the Flashpoint movie, now, I don't know. Did he agree to do it? Is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? I don't know. The whole thing's tragic. It would be a shame if Warner Media would have to recast Cyborg, because he's a great actor, he's a great lad, and I want him to continue playing this character. For me, Ray, it's time to roll it all up. You've got your investigation, but the problem is you're complaining about script changes you didn't get. Now, I understand what Whedon was doing and the changes he made, directed by Sugihara, weren't good. And I understand, Ray, why you were upset and you wanted things maybe to go back to the vision of Zack Snyder. Hey, I respect you for that you thought that. But that's gone, Ray. We're getting the whole movie now. It's okay. As for Jeff Johns, you have told the whole world what he said to you. It's noted. We understand. But Jeff Johns isn't running the DC Films division anymore, right? He's not. He's working, he's telling stories again, as he has the right to do. It's over, Ray. For me, it's time to draw a line underneath it and move on. I don't think you will move on, But I think it's time. I don't think the fans should be involved in this. It's not our fight. We've got what we wanted. We are getting a cohesive DC multiverse. And for me, that's all I care about. I did kind of reveal to you last week that most probably, potentially, the whole of the Justice League would be in the Flashpoint movie. That is really exciting. I expect them to be fighting the Reverse Flash at the beginning of the film, and that basically confirms in what Warner Media's response to what Ray Fisher's been saying was. So that's really, really exciting. Now, finally today here on the DC Multiverse Daily, we're talking about what I mentioned briefly earlier. Classic Superman radio series reenactments featuring Wilson Cruz, Tim Daly, Daniel Day Kim, God I love that guy, and more flies into DC fandom. This is a really exciting project. Have a listen to this. Are you ready to travel back to the 1940s when Netflix did not exist and radio shows were the epicenter of entertainment? During DC Fandom, Explore the Multiverse on September the 12th, Warner Brothers and the Creative Coalition will bring the classic Superman radio series to life. This is awesome. What a great idea. The reenactments of the Superman radio series will be available all day during the virtual confab and feature an all-star roster of actors, top line by Wilson Cruz, Star Trek Discovery, Tim Daly, Madam Secretary, and Daniel Day Kim, Hawaii Five-0, and Lost, of course. As the Man of Steel himself, using original scripts from the long-running radio serial recently unearthed from the Warner Bros. Studios vault. This rare production will allow fans to experience the superhero in a unique way. We are thrilled to join comic fans and creators at DC Fandom, explore the multiverse to bring the original Superman to life, to celebrate the arts, said the Creative Coalition CEO Robin Bronk. We encourage Superman fans to learn more about the Creative Coalition's mission to support the arts by visiting the Creative Coalition org. We are grateful to Warner Brothers and DC for supporting that work. Yet again, AT&T and Warner Media doing the right things. In addition to Cruz, Daly and Kim, the radio series will feature Jason Alexander, Seinfeld, Harley Quinn, Trojan Belisario, Pretty Little Liars, Eric Bergen, Madam Secretary, Anthony Carrigan, Barry, Terry Crews, Brooklyn 999, Sam Daly, Hunters, Leah Deluria, Orange is the New Black, and Giancarlo Esposito, Better Call Saul, Sean Guambalo, The Goldbergs, Nicholas Gonzalez, The Good Doctor, Jason Isaacs, Harry Potter franchise, Richard King, American Dad. Wow, these are some really good names. Wow. Constance Zimmer, House of Cards. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. So it's really, really good. And think about this. If this is successful, if people actually listen to these reenactments of this classic, awesome radio show, and I downloaded these years ago. I've got the files for them, right? They're brilliant. And this is what's really exciting about DC Fandom Part 2, because it's going to be everything about Superman that we didn't get. So I am expecting big announcements for Superman in DC Fandom Part 2 on September the 12th. This is the stuff I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about Ray Fisher going against Walter Hamada and Warner Brothers. I want to talk about Ray Fisher, and I want to talk about his performance in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut. That's what I want to talk about, Ray. I don't want to be talking about this bullshit because it's irrelevant, Ray, because we all won. You won, I won. We're going to get it all. But what you're doing, Ray, my friend, is you're muddying the waters. And if you just made a statement yesterday about wanting to go full pelt on exposing Jeff Johns, that's one thing, and that's fine. And I can stand with that. But what you did was expose a private conversation. And Walter Hamada has dealt with you in a very fair way. I know it, and you know it. And Walter didn't deserve this. Walter and Jim Lee are going to make a great team in doing this multiverse strategy for the films and the TV universe. It's an exciting time to be a DC fan. So, Ray, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. But this fight is futile because we all won. Every single DC fan. Put your fists down, take a deep breath, and stand with us, my friend. I want you to keep on playing Cyborg. Everyone does. But what do you think about all of this? Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe, and of course, I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Multiverse Daily. See you again soon.